Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Menachos daf Ayin Dalid. We are going to begin on Ayin Dalid Amud Aleph, about 12 lines from the top, where the words say Tani Idach. So we learned in another brisa. When it comes to the Minchas Chayti of the Kohen, we had a machlokas in our Mishnah. What exactly takes place? So according to Rav Shimon, he holds that we do kamitza. However, the kamitza is burned separately from the shirayim. Now, this is a machlokas because, according to the Tanakama, the only time you do kamitza is if you only do kamitza on that, and then there's shirayim. The leftover is actually eaten by the kohanim. But we know that when it comes to minchas kohen, as well as kohen, the kohen of the kohen gadol, it's the same thing. That because they don't eat from the mincha, so therefore, according to them, it's just completely burnt. There's no kamitza. So this is the dispute. And on this, again, the Gemara continues with Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon oimer minchas chaytish kohanim nikmetzes v'hakoymitz kar b'fnei atzma v'shrayim karim b'fnei atzma. So we said that when it comes to the mincha of a kohen, so the din is that we will still do kimitza, but of course that will be burnt on the mizbeach. But in addition to that, we're also going to burn the shirayim. Rabbi Lezer, Rav Shimon. So that's Rav Shimon or Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So Rabbi Lezer, Rav Shimon was his son. Oimer hakaimitz kar ba'atzma. It's true that, in fact, I agree with my father that we will do a kamitza and it will be burnt. However, shirayim, we don't burn it, rather mispazrin al beis hadeshen. Rather, what we'll do is we'll scatter the shirayim on the beis hadeshen, and that's where we will deposit that. So I'm Rav Chia Barabba. So Habibah Rav Yochanan. So he posed this question: Beis hadeshen dehecha. What exactly are we talking about? Which one? If we're talking about above, there's on the mizbech, haidu avua. It sounds like the same thing as what his father is saying, that is put on the mizbech. So idul amata, if it's put on the bottom, so yeshach hadavar shekar b'mata. So what does it mean that he says that the we're makravit, right? Below. What does that mean? Right? Says Rashi, mitchilasul ibud. Why would we be makrav something to destroy it? So the beis hadeshen is leibud. So why would you do this to cause all the shiraim to be to the beis hadeshen? So Omer Loyer Rabbi Alba dilma leibud. So maybe it is for that purpose. So they kind of laughed at this. Again, that's the question. So Tani Avua, the Rabbi Oven, the pasuk says in Sefer Vayikra, Kol minchas koyin. When it comes to the mincha of the koyin, kolilti, as we said, it's completely burnt. Well, sa'oichel, it's not going to be eaten, as we said. So what does that mean? So what is this coming to tell you? The connection is only when it comes to that the kohen doesn't eat it, but not any other connection. So my comment, what is he saying? So Omer Abaya, Chachi Kamer, Kol minchas kohen lo sa'oichel chavasai. So when it comes to a mincha in which there is an obligation for it to be brought, for example, a minchas chayte, where he sinned and therefore he has a chiyuv to have to bring a carbon, so in that situation, he will not eat it. Kolil tieh nidvasai, and when it comes to one who, if he donates a mincha, then it will be kolil. Look at Rashi. Nikmetzes kolil tieh minchas nidvasai. However, when it comes to the kamitza, we do kamitza for the minchas nidava. Shlo tehe nikmetzes elwa makter kula keminchas chavitin. So actually, what it's saying is that we only compare a minchas chayiv to a minchas nedava in that they're both not eaten. However, when it comes to a minchas nedava, so in that situation, we say that there is no kamitza, okay? As opposed to the minchas chayiv where we do kamitza. So by minchas chayiv, I agree you do kamitza. By minchas nedava, so what we'll do is we'll just be makdir the whole thing, just like the minchas chavitin. Okay. So Merava, sakina charifa mafsaka kroy. You took a pretty sharp knife to be able to chop up this pasuk. This certainly doesn't seem like pasuk shot in the pasuk. Says Rashi, v'chi yochel adam lahafsik hamikra, v'hatul seifel tchilaso be'inyan zeh v'seicha chavasai. Right, to say you don't eat when it comes to a chayv. V'hader tani l'achila hekashasai, and you're saying that the whole hekesh is only for eating, that they don't eat. However, when it comes to the difference between a chatos and a chatos, which is a chayv, there you do ketairis, but you are rather makter the kemitza, but not when it comes to the dava. El omer rava kol minchas kohen kol tien nidvasai. So when it comes to the nedava, donated mincha, so the pasuk says that the minchas kayin has to be completely burnt up, which means that we don't do kemitza on that. And don't eat the chayiv. However, at the same time, you would still be able to do kemitza on the minchas chayte. Maybe the other way around. So stabra nidvaso havilei riboy. It makes more sense to include a minchas nedava, which is comparable to the minchas chavitin of the kohen gadol, which is completely burnt, the whole thing, shechein tidira, because just like the minchas chavitin, that's something which is continuous. It's something in which is done all the time. It's one in the morning and in the afternoon. And also when it comes to a minchas nedava, as Rashi says, when you bring a minchas nedava, it can be done anytime you want. Obviously, when we're dealing with a sin offering, so hopefully you don't sin that much, so it doesn't happen that much. Lo chati, and we're obviously talking about a situation where you didn't sin. The minchas chavit and the kohen gadol is automatic, and so is when a person decides to give a minchas nedava, so that's without a sin. Basim reiche, it has a nice fragrance. So what does Rashi say? Shenidvasa v'chavitin bulim b'shemen v'lovayna reicha naidif. So these are together with oil and frankincense, has a nice smell. But in minchas chaytin, we know we don't put, because it's a sin offering, we don't want it to be so nice. So we don't have shemen, we don't have lavoina. So it's very different. So therefore, it makes more sense to compare minchas nedava to minchas chavitim of the kohen gadol, and therefore, just like that, we completely burn it. So to completely burn it, there's no kemitza. So adarabah chavaso have a little riboy shecheni yisar and chayva. Maybe you should say the other way around, that maybe we should compare the minchas chayva to it, because says Rashi, b'chavitin there is an isaron, which excludes the nedava, that you can bring many estrainim. It's whatever you want to do, right? So it's really not the same. And an chayva shemuchayiv l'havi kamo chavita. Okay, so hanach nefishin. Okay, it's great that maybe the minchas chayva is comparable to the minchas chavitim of the kohen gadol, but that's only in one way. We just mentioned a whole bunch of other ones, therefore it makes more sense to compare the minchas nedava to the chavit. To Rabbanan, hai kol minchas kohen kol tieh lo soichel miyavnu. What do they do with that pasuk? So meboyel v'nesanya ainli ela el yayin b'kol tiktor. I only know that the up top one says Rosh Chavitin b'kol takter gluchud, that when it comes to the minchas chavitin, that is burnt. The tachtoina b'loy soichel, and the bottom one is you're not to eat. So manayin litin es ha'omer shel zeh b'zeh v'es homer shel zeh b'zeh. The elyon and the tachtoin, we say the same din, that you can't eat either of them, and also there's a din of bal teichel, and also that it's kolil. So how do we know that these two din apply on both sides? Some of them are kol gzer shava. So never can kol never lahon kol maluhon but kol tiktor. We completely burn it. Afkan but kol tiktor. We burn the entire thing. We don't do kamitz. It's whole burnt up. Maluhon litin loises el chilaso. Afahon litin loises el chilaso. A person eats the mincha of the chavitin of the kohen gadol, then you have violated. Okay. So boy Ravina. Now Ravina asks a question. Kohen she'oichel min ha'imurim. Let's say you have a kohen who eats from the sacrificial parts, which of course are supposed to be burnt on the mizbeach. So mahu lavdas mahu. So what's the din? So lavdas zorus. When it comes to the lab of zorus of kol zorul yoichel kodesh, So lokim boy, that's not a question. The kohen regarding Imurim Rashi is like a zar. A lot of people think a zar means a non-kohen. That's not the right translation. A zar means someone who is not able to do the avoda, which is the reason why we say a kohen gadol who's not wearing his, could be kohen gadol too, who's not wearing his begadim. So therefore, if he's mechusar begadim, he's ki'il like a zar. So it's the same thing over here. That when it comes to the Imurim, because he's not allowed to eat it, even though he's a kohen, so therefore he's considered like a zar. He's a zar regarding this. So there's no shayla that certainly when it comes to a kohen, if he consumes the imurim, then he's definitely bichayiv for lo seichel zar. So lo kamaboili kika maboili lav the kol tieh, because there's a requirement of burning the imurim, so as he violated that. So Amarav. Anything that has to be burnt, so therefore you're not allowed to eat it. Question 5. So as you said, davar pashit, there's going to be over kol zar liyochel kodesh, but even kol tieh lo yochel, he's going to have violated that too. Okay, and this is question TA23, just a one-word answer over here. It says, Alma oivrin beloisa say the kol tia loisoichel chutz miminchas koyin v'chavitin. So how can you violate this iser kol tia? And of course this is if a person eats the imurim, which is on Ayin Dalid Omid Beis. So that's TA23. So let's just mark this over here. TA23, fine. Okay. TB, we didn't do yet. TC, we're not going to get to that today. Okay, so let's see the next Mishnah. Says the Masnisa, Minchas Kohanim. So as we talked about already, the Mincha of the Kohen, or Minchas Kohen Mashiach. Now again, when it comes to them, they don't eat the shirayim. Uminchas Nesachim, when it comes to the Minchas Nesachim, which is accompanies the carbon, Mizbeach ve'en behen kohanim. These things are put on the Mizbeach, however, they are not consumed by the Kohen. As we said before. So in this case, the Kohanim don't have the same rights as the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach consumes these things, and the Kohanim have no rights to it. Now, most things, for example, let's say carbon shlamim, some of it's on the Mizbeach, and some is eaten by the Kohen. Chatas, many of these things. With these exceptions. However, shtei lechem, the other way around, the shtei lechem on Shavuos, these two breads made out of wheat, the lechem aponim in the kodesh on the shulchan, nechal kohanim in ve'enim in mizbeach. Of course, we don't burn these breads. The breads are consumed by the kohen, and therefore v'zeh yafa koyach hakohanim and koyach mizbeach. Okay, so it's the other one. So v'su leika, or is it only these examples? V'yika oyla. We know an oil is completely burned on Mizbeach, so why don't we give that example? Now, the truth is that we skin the animal, and its hides belong to the Kohanim. So the oil is not completely put on the Mizbeach, because the oiles are given to the Kohen. There's an oil, it's a bird. We don't skin the bird because it has really very little utility or value. So it has the crope and the gizzard. So these are things which are removed before it's put onto the Mizbeach. We're not makriv these things on Mizbeach for some reason. So those are not given. I guess technically Kohen will get them. So the Nesachim, why don't we include that as well? So it's a Lashisha Nazli. They actually go into the bowls or the pipes. So my bazu. So what does it say with this? So Fukim and Shmuel. The Shmuel Hamas Nadev Yayin. If a person designates and offers wine as a free will offering, he can bring it Mazalfo al Gabi Ishim, and then he pours it on as part of al Gabi Ishim, like on the Mizbeach. So therefore, according to that, it sounds like a good example that it is for the Mizbech and not for the Kohen, but it's actually a machlokas if you're misnadav yayin, whether you do put it on the Ishim on the Mizbech or it's l'shishin azl. Kamash Shmuel and the l'shishin azli. So Messiah Shmuel, the Yemer Shmuel, misnadav shemen, if you designate oil, kaim so you do a kamitza with it, v'shira v'nechalon, and the leftovers are eaten. Okay, fine. Let's look at Rashi. It says, Messiah Shmuel, Kaimso, V'Kaimso Ozl Mizbeach. The Kemitza goes on the Mizbeach, V'Shira V'Kohanim, the Bezeh Yof Koyach Shneihem. V'Hainu Detani Masnisin, Bezeh Yafa Koyach HaMizbeach, Afuki Shemen, Yafa Boy Koyach Shneihem. So in that case, it only mentions oil. Maybe, why does it mention oil? Why does it mention wine and not oil? Because oil is both, which is mashma, maybe not when it comes to yayin, it is put on the mizbeach. Okay. Shtei lechem v'lechem aponim v'su leika v'ho'ika chatas oif. We know the chatas oif, so we don't burn any of the meat. It's give it to the kohen. No, that's not true. Ikadama. Of course, we do zrika sadam of the chatas oif on the below the chotasikra on the mizbeach. I v'ika lug shemen shel matzayra. So the oil of the matzayra is given to the kohanim. So ika mat noisav. So the gifts of oil, the sprinkling of it, is not given to the is not given to the kohen. Fine. Says Rashi, l'b'hoinois d'loi havi kula kohanim, because there's applications on the thumb, the earlobe, and the toe. Okay. So my bazu. So fukim amandi yomer shtei halechem b'v'savni atzman was sreifa astin. Now the shtei halechem, which is usually accompanied by the shnei kivsei atzeres. So in that situation, we put them together. We do tenufos, we talked about before. So in that situation, of course, the shtei halechem are eaten by the kohanim. But what happens if they were just designated by themselves? So according to one opinion, the sreifa asin, there we will burn the breads. That we always eat the shtei halechem even if they are given separately. Question 6 by themselves. We're actually going to stop here. Shtei halechem v'lechem aponim nechonim kohanim ein behen l'mizbeach v'zu yafa koyach hakohanim u'mal b'zo atanu lafukim b'yomer b'zeh. So he said that if a person gives a designation of the shtei halechem by themselves without the shnei kivsei atzeres, so there's an opinion that they should be burned on the mizbeach. Kamash one that they're actually eaten. B'zeh means l'oilam koyach kohanim yafeh, and therefore that is the din. Okay, let's take a look at TB 26. Tanan minchas kohanim u'mizbeach u'b'zeh yafa koyach mizbeach hakohanim. So it says that the minchas kohanim and all these things are only for the mizbeach, but not for the kohanim. So he said it was zelafuki mai, and the correct answer, which I don't think I wrote over here, the correct answer is when it comes to the yayin, right? So it says it's lafuke. I wrote lug shemesh shel matzayra, but that's not the case. I was thinking the other way around. So the minchas kohanim is something in which is only on the mizbeach. The lug shemen shel matzayra is only, we thought was maybe only to the kohen, so that's definitely not the right answer. So instead, we're talking about the nesachim. When it comes to nesachim, whether it's l'shishin ozlu or again hamas nadiv yayin maybe mazalfo al gabi ishim kamashmon de l'shishin azli. So that's the point over here, that if a person is misnadiv yayin, as we just said, so in that situation, TV 26, the din is, well, is it true? Is it completely put up on al gabi ishim? They said no. It's lafuki that it's actually going to be put in the bowls into the shishin, and therefore that's what it's coming to exclude. Adkam.